Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Way That I See It. My name is Lucy Superfox, and this is my podcast. So in this episode, I want to talk to you about money and your identity. We tell stories our entire life about who we are, what's possible for us, where we can go in life, how life can look for us, what's going to be possible for us in the future. And what I want you to know is the identity and the story that you tell and create is what will become your reality. So if you want to have a different financial reality, you want to transform your financial reality, then you must also change the way you see yourself, where you think about yourself, where you talk about yourself, and your identity. So let's just talk a little bit about what identity really is and how it kind of really affects us. So the way that I see identity is ultimately who I believe that I am, who I perceive that I am. So when I wake up in the morning, what does somebody like me do? How do I behave? How do I respond? How do I think? And what happens a lot of the time is that a lot of us create an idea of who we think we are, right? So we create an idea of who we think we are rather than necessarily the who we want to be or who we believe that we can be. What we do is we create this concept of I'm this person because my parents said this about me. I'm this person because this is what people see on social media. I'm this person because Dave at the gym said I look good in purple. This is how literal it gets, right? And we create a perception identity of ourselves about who we think we are. Now, what I will tell you is who you think you are is what you will become. And so for me, when I catch myself in any kind of feelings of shame, any kind of feelings of fear, any kind of feelings of, oh, what's they going to think of me? Or that doesn't look good, is I ask myself, is that because this action, thought, or belief doesn't line up with my perceived identity or my real identity? And what happens is through social media, we create ideals and concepts and ideas about who we think we need to be, who we think we should be, what we think is possible for us. And we do that because we want to aspire to the next level. And especially if, and I've recorded literally a whole bonus module for all of my mini courses. So it's available on all of the mini courses right now. And actually, at the time of recording this, they are all on cyber sale. So if you haven't checked that already, if you listen to this before the 30th of November, 2022, they are still on cyber sale. But I just recorded a bonus module for that, all about embodiment and about the fact that the final step in actually creating anything in your life, whether it's wealth, a business, a relationship, self-confidence, love, is embodying the thing that you want before you have it. And so the reason I share that with you is that what happens is we create a perceived identity of who we think we need to be to achieve something or have something or do something, and versus who we think we are. And so then we get this kind of discord between who we think we need to be and who we actually are. And what I want you to know is that the only way that you're ever going to get to where you want to be is if you're actually to be who you are, not a perceived identity. Like if people think you're confident and you're not going to get anywhere until you actually are. If people think you're wealthy and you're actually not, you need to get to the place where you feel wealthy, otherwise nothing's going to work, right? And so when it comes to identity, the concept of a perceived identity is something I've battled with for years, because I have always been told the story, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're clever. Of course you did. Of course Lucy Superfox did. She's super capable. She's this, she's that, right? And I let those stories about who those people thought I was and who those people think I am dictate where I was in life and where I thought I should be. And what that led to is when I wasn't exactly how they painted me out to be, because life happens, I felt this sense of shame. I felt this sense of oh my God, but I'm not who people think I am and letting people down. Who gives a fuck, right? But what actually happened in that time was I realized that I could choose my identity. So one thing that you will learn if you ever create a perceived identity, is you will learn the fact that you actually get to create and define and decide your identity. And you do that through your stories, the beliefs, the way that you think, the way you talk about yourself, and the way that you act. And so if right now you don't like your identity, or you feel detached from your identity, or you feel like your identity is a perceived identity, like you've got one story on the outside and one story on the inside, then my strong advice to you is to actually step into the person you want to be. So rather than trying to be something that people think you are, instead as I've talked about 1,000 times on this podcast, get really clear on what you want, do the work to believe you can have it, take inspired action, make space for the thing that you want, and trust the fucking process. And this is what the money course does, what the Build Your Belief bundle does. Both those courses really work into manifestation. They're just about different things, right? And so what I really want you to understand is that when it comes to money, unless wealth is part of your identity, not your perceived identity, but your real identity, unless you are telling stories and have beliefs and have thought processes and patterns and behaviors and inspired actions that truly are wealthy behaviors, and not because somebody else thinks you're wealthy, but they are wealth inducing. You feel wealthy, you feel abundant, you feel happy, you feel secure, you feel excited, you love money, you feel, unless all of that is actually part of your real identity, not your perceived one, but your real identity, wealth will never be a part of your reality. And so your identity is really important. You get to decide it, right? You're not born this way. This is not this nature nurture debate. Like, you are not born with an identity and that's who you are for the rest of your life. There are parts of who you, your personality, there are parts of who you know, whether it's anatomically, like obviously how you choose to identify in terms of gender, like those kind of things, absolutely your nature and your nurture are part of. But when it comes to your money reality and your money story, you get to choose. You get to choose. And this is something that I think I forgot. But I think, you know, sometimes you can kind of get to the place where you feel a little bit predestined, that you feel a little bit like, oh, this is just where I'm at. No, you get to choose. And look, will it be difficult? Will it be challenging? Will you have to overcome the practical, the emotional, the spiritual? And yes, absolutely. But this is why there are teachers like me in the world who are like, right, I've done it. Here's how you do it. These are the steps, crack on. And so when you find yourself caught up in this story of what's possible for you and who you believe you are, and you know that you're capped, and that people like you don't make money like that, and people like you are only capable of X, Y, and Z, like that's a fucking story. And you've got to be able to recognize that as a story and turn around and say no, turn around and say absolutely not, turn around and say that is not a life I choose for myself, is not a life I want for myself. This is who I want to be, and I'm going to take the steps. And the steps are: decide what you want, do the work to believe you can have it, take inspired action, make space, trust the fucking process, and step into the next version of yourself. And this module I filmed for all the, like I said, all the mini courses, like the bonus module today about embodiment, is all about basically how to actually become, how to become. And the reason I recorded this is I felt like a lot of people were making a lot of headway, but I wanted them to just like fully step into that next level life. And that doesn't always happen, because what people do is they get attached to a process, they get attached to steps. And what embodiment is about acting as if. Embodiment is stepping into how it feels. And so what I do in this module is I talk through how it feels to have more than enough money, how it feels to have body confidence, how it feels to be in a secure relationship, how it feels to not have a troublesome relationship with food, how it feels to like myself. Like, I talk about how it feels so you can use tools and things to state change to step into also how it feels, so that you can actually act as if it's already happened for you. And the reason I do this is because I want the people that do my courses to feel how I feel. Like, I didn't become a course teacher and a course creator for shits and gigs, guys. Like, I did it because I truly believe that I know how to teach the work. Like, one of the things that I'm really, really good at is communicating, right? And if there are many things in my life that I'm not, many things in my life that I would happily never do again, but the one thing I am fucking brilliant at is communicating. And so when there's something that I have to communicate, like, why do you think I do a podcast? I do a podcast because I want to communicate how I feel. I want to communicate what I believe. I want to communicate what I know, so that I can empower you to live a next level life. So right now, if you feel like you're clashing between a perceived identity about who you think you need to be versus right now who you feel you actually are, there is work to be done in the growth. There is healing work to be done to bridge the gap between those two things. And the work is decide what you want, do the work to believe you can have it, take inspired action, make space, and trust the freaking process. And by doing all of those things, you'll be able to step into the next level version of your wealthy self. So if you want to find out more about how to do that, you're like, Lucy, that sounds amazing, but how do I turn that into reality? Make sure to check out lucysuperfox.com/courses. You can scroll through the master course and the 4 mini courses. And my strong recommendation when it comes to transforming your belief system or transforming your relationship with money is Mini Money Mindset or the Build Your Belief Bundle. So that is it for this episode. I will be back. I have some exciting news for you coming up about what we're going to be sharing in the future podcast. But I hope that you've taken value. I hope that you've loved it. I have loved being here with you. I've loved chatting with you this week. And I will see you all on the next episode.